Hello everyone and welcome to the Math Bender. I am Adnan Zaidi and this is my second session on functions targeting to IGCSE, GCSE and O levels. So the level of this lecture is primarily focusing on the basics of functions and equations and from 9 till 11 grades. So let's start. Okay, so to get the hang of basic what functions and what they are, so let's talk about. If I say I want you to draw y is equals to 2x plus 3, as I know that it's a linear equation, and if I have to draw it, I'll see that I'll make a table of values and I'll keep on plugging them with x and y values, and I'll take some random values here. So in this scenario, let's say x -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. And I'll keep on plugging these values. So let's say y is equals to, when I plug in -2 in the equation above, it will be -2 plus 3, which gives you -4 plus 3, which is equals to -1. So it means that when x was -2, y is -1, and I write that value here. And so on, all the values. So let's say if I plug in y is equals to 0, x is equals to 0 in this equation, which gives you y equals to 3, so and so on, so whatever the random values that you get here. But the process that you see here, x are the values that you are choosing yourself, although it is a variable, but we call it the independent variable because you are choosing these values yourself. But these values are dependent on the values of x, and hence we call that a function of x. So f of x is just a way to write down what y is. They are both the same. There's nothing different about it. And hence, if I say y equals to 2x plus 3, and I write a question as what is y when x is equals to 4? So the first thing that you do is y is equals to 2 times, plug in x as 4 in the equation, and y is equals to 4 times 2 is 8, 8 plus 3 gives you 11. The same question that I wrote down with that much of writing, I'd write what is f of 4. This means exactly the same as what I've written it. This is one of the edge that function may give you. Secondly, if I also say what is x when y is equals to 7. So in the same equation I plug in 7 is equals to 2 times x plus 3, and 7 minus 3 is equals to 2x, and x is equals to 4 over 2, which gives you 2. And if I have to write this same question in functions terminology, I'll write find x when f of x is equals to 7. You do the same thing, it's just that you replace this whole f of x with 7 and solve the same way that we solve this equation. So this is pretty much the basics that you need to know before starting off. So let's see some of the questions here. So I'll solve a few questions here. So if I solve D, let's say, so f of x is equals to 2x squared plus 3. And I need to find out f of 2, f of minus 2, and f of 0.5. So if I write f of 2 here, 2 times, instead of x I replace it with 2 squared plus 3. This is going to give you 2 times 2 squared is 4 plus 3, which gives you 4 times 2 is 8 plus 3, 11. If I say f of minus 2, this is going to be 2 times -2 squared plus 3. Now note that this -2, the square is being applied on -2. So there is a difference. Just a quick note here. If you write negative 2 squared, this will give you 4, positive 4. But if you write negative 2 squared, this means that it is negative 2 times 2, which is going to be negative 4. So just a way to add brackets. Okay, so now f of negative 2 is going to be, again, so negative 2 squared makes it positive 4 because the power is even, and then gives you the same value. So f of 0.5, I can take that as f of 1 over 2 whole square plus 3, since I don't want to use calculator, although you can. So 2 times 1 over 2 square. The square of 1 over 2 is the square the power applies on both numerator as well as denominator, so it becomes 1 over 4 plus 3 equals to 1 over 2 plus 3, which gives you 7 over 2. Now let's look at another question here. F of x is equals to x squared minus 2x. Now let's write f of negative 2 here. And I can say that this is negative 2 squared. Instead of x, I replace it with negative 2 times with 2 times negative 2. Now negative 2 squared is positive 4. And this is minus minus makes it positive. 2 times 2 is 4, which gives you 8. If I had taken it f of positive 2, the value would have been 2 squared minus 2 times positive 2. This is 4 minus 4 makes it 0. So I hope I made myself clear where to plug in the values when a syntax like this is in the question. Let's move on and see some more questions that we get to see in the exam papers. Now, it says that solve f of x is equals to 6. Now, as you could see, there are two different ways of writing it down. So if I had asked you f of 6, this means that what is the value of f of x when you plug in x as 6. But this means that find the value. Solve means find the value of x when f of x means y is equals to 6. So I write this equation first. F of x is equals to x squared minus x. And then instead of f of x, I replace it with 6 is equals to x squared minus x. And x squared minus x minus 6 is equals to 0. Becomes a quadratic equation. And you know that quadratic equation can be solved using breaking the middle term. X squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6 is equals to 0. X taken common, x minus 3, and plus 2 taken common from here, x minus 3. In both the terms, x minus 3 is taken common, so x plus 2 equals to 0. So x minus 3 equals to 0, x plus 2 equals to 0, and x is equals to 3, x is equals to negative 2. So these are the two values of x where function f of x becomes 6. Another question. So if I say part B, f of x is equals to g of x, so which means f of x is equals to x squared minus x, and g of x is equals to x squared minus 3x minus 12. They want you to find out the value of x when both these functions are equated with each other or equal to each other. I can write that down as x squared minus x instead of f of x is equals to g of x, which is x squared minus 3x minus 12. And hence these two become 0. Negative x is equals to negative 3x minus 12. So adding 3x, negative positive 3x both sides becomes 3x minus x is equals to minus 12. 2x is equals to negative 12, x is equals to negative 12, dividing both sides by 2 makes it negative 6. So when the value of x is going to be negative 6, these both the functions will be equal to each other. Let's look at another question here. So f of x is equals to 4 plus x over x. And x is not equals to 0. This means x is not equals to 0, and it is necessary to write whenever you see a variable in denominator. The reason being, if x becomes 0, let's try to put x as 0 first. So if I write f of 0, this will be 4 plus 0 over 0. Let's write it down in our calculator and check what answer will it give us. You will see it is giving us a math error, which means anything divided by 0 cannot be solved, cannot give you a value, or too big of a value, infinity. So that's why this disclaimer needs to be set before in the question, that you need to keep in mind that x cannot be 0. So for a, f of half, so write f of half or f of 0.5, and simplifying your answer, which means they want you to keep it as half, 1 over 2 over 1 over 2. I replace x with, so is equals to, now taking the LCM gives you 4 times 2 is 8, 8 plus 1, 8 over 2 plus 1 over 2 over 1 over 2. Now this is going to be 9 over 2 over 1 over 2. This cancels out, becomes 9. For part B, f of x is equals to 3. So 4 plus x over x is equals to, replacing with f of x, which is equals to 3. And 4 plus x is equals to 3x. And 4 is equals to 3x minus x. And 4 is equals to 2x, which gives you x is equals to 2. So these are the two types of questions where you get to see a syntax written like this and a syntax written like this, where the input value is inside. Here the output value is given. You just have to find out the what was the input initially instead of x, which concluded to 3. So this is my very basic lecture on functions. I will, in my next lecture, will talk about composite functions. Until then, take care. Bye.